So President Trump believes that we were a bit too generous when it came to aiding Puerto Rico. Now, Donald Trump apparently told Republicans at a closed-door luncheon on Tuesday that the aid for Puerto Rico was, quote, way out of proportion to what Texas and Florida and others have gotten. Now, this according to Marco Rubio, who was in the meeting, who came out later and was like, look, Florida needs to aid, Texas needs to aid, all these states that got hit with these massive hurricanes, we needed the aid. And there's another aid package, of course, that's looking to go through Congress that a lot of Republicans support. But when it came to the issue of Puerto Rico, Donald Trump was not interested in that. Like, no, I'm not going to give you more money for Puerto Rico. I already gave you guys enough. So now the thing is, according to Rubio, Trump supports a $600 million package to deal with food stamp shortfalls in Puerto Rico. Okay, well, that's at least one thing that's okay. Hey, great, at least you're not starving them, but says that he is opposed to more generous terms for delivery of disaster aid money and funding to rebuild antiquated water systems and make them more resilient to future storms. So now, wait a minute here. Puerto Rico has had a problem with old and broken down infrastructure, right? Part of the reason that the storms in Puerto Rico were so damaging to the infrastructure is that their infrastructure was old and more easily prone to hurricane damage, right? So it was already antiquated, which, add on to the disaster of being hit by a massive hurricane like Maria, it just compounded the damage. And so why would we not want to invest and fix that and make it better so that the next time there is a hurricane, the humanitarian disaster isn't nearly as bad, or we don't have a humanitarian disaster following another superstorm like Maria? Why wouldn't we do that? It makes logical sense. We invest to make things better. But look, I know. We make we know the answer already. And we've seen it before, right? Now, in addition, of course, to patting himself on the back after his amazing help in Puerto Rico, that we had 10,000 workers and they were all fantastic and tremendous, when actually his response was horrible. But we get into more of why, other than just his ego, of course, of not admitting that he actually didn't do the greatest job and that he could have done better. We get into what he says. Now, Trump tweeted this. He said that Puerto Ricans, and actually he said this, Puerto Ricans wanted everything to be done for them when it should have been a community effort. 10,000 federal workers now on island doing fantastic jobs. And he also said, now I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but you're throwing our budget a little out of whack. I hate to tell you, Puerto Rico, but me having to spend money on you just to help you guys after a massive storm, throwing my budget out of whack. I mean, how dare you? Now I'm going to have to spend relief money and add money. Come on, man. I don't want to have to do that. You're ruining everything. And of course, look, there's the implication that Puerto Ricans are less deserving and are lazy. I'm not even convinced that he knows that Puerto Rico was part of America. It is part of America. It's American territory. And the people there are American citizens. But Trump is like, oh, they're Latinos. They must be part of somewhere else. They're actually not part of America. Ridiculous. Not only that, but Trump also implied that it was Katrina that's a real disaster, but Maria was not a disaster. And of course, official government reports at the time had the death toll about 46. It actually came to a much larger number, around 3,000, 4,000 people that were killed. Not only from the storm, but subsequent effects from disease, lack of power and healthcare, etc., lack of clean water, and a lot of that has to do with, of course, Trump's response to it. So, but no, Katrina, real disaster. Maria, not real disaster. Here, have some paper towels. They're tremendous, very, very soft paper towels. And of course, his excuse is, well, it's hard to get aid to the country, or I'm sorry, to the island, because it is an island surrounded by water, big water, ocean water. That is a real quote from the President of the United States. So, but as far as Maria not being a real disaster, no. Here's the thing: both Katrina and Maria were both unfathomably horrible. Maria killed thousands of people. So did Katrina. In reality, you should not be comparing which storm was worse. Okay, like which disaster is more of a disaster and therefore deserving of more attention. I mean, that reaction is sickening. And of course, we know why. It's because they're Latinos. Majority Latinos. And I think that's why he is not authorizing more aid despite the complete disaster on the island. And again, going back to his ego as well. I mean, this aid package, by the way, this is supported by a lot of Republicans. It cleared a procedural hurdle in the Senate by a 90-10 vote. 90-10. And you've got big Republicans on this on the side of this package. According to The Guardian, the measure has wide support from both Democrats and Republicans and is backed by Trump loyalists, such as the Georgia Senator David Perdue and the North Carolina Senator Tom Tillis, whose states were slammed by hurricanes last fall. So, Perdue had said, quote, just at the time when harvesting was starting, Hurricane Michael hit, and crops were completely destroyed across most of our state. Now, look, us progressives, we look at that, and it's like, we want to help. I don't care that you're a red state. I don't care that you're a blue state. I don't care. Let's help you already. Let's get, let's get you the aid that you need, and we'll help you get back on your feet. Now, a lot of these Republicans feel a little bit differently. I believe I remember, maybe it was Ted Cruz doing some sort of ridiculous filibuster to prevent Hurricane Sandy aid from going to New York. Well, I mean, it doesn't affect me. But now, of course, when the Republicans, when they are affected, they're like, oh, no, we got to pass the aid package. Yes, even if it includes a lot of aid to Puerto Rico, of course. Because as long as we get ours too, I mean, that's all I care about. Okay, look, again, let's help everybody, because I don't know if you know this, but we are the United States. We're all supposed to work together. Now, Democratic lawmakers are asking for more Puerto Rico aid, according to The Guardian, and that may end up getting a little bit more resistance. I'm not sure how much. I don't know. But look, they need to get that aid. Yes, we should absolutely aid Puerto Rico. Again, they are a territory of the United States. So, now, I want to give you another piece of information here from the article, which shows how bad it was in Puerto Rico. They said that the lack of leadership and coordination combined with delays in meeting the basic needs of the island more than 18 months after receiving a presidential disaster declaration has left far too many children and elderly citizens in unhealthy and unsafe conditions, families in severely damaged homes, and communities without adequate infrastructure to sustain a decent quality of life. And that's actually a quote from Patrick Leahy and Chuck Schumer, sending that to the White House. And they're absolutely right. But Trump, right now, saying, no, we already helped them enough. They got too much. We were too generous. Ridiculous, man. Over 3,000 people were killed. It's an absolute disgrace that they are still suffering and struggling in the wealthiest nation on earth. But as usual, it comes down to Donald Trump's ego and his racism. Just shut up and help them, you monster. Come on, how hard is it? Hey guys, hopefully you enjoyed that free video. Now I'm gonna have to ask you a favor. Between the demonetization and the YouTube algorithm messing around with view counts, etc., we're having a hard time adjusting to the new YouTube reality, which is where you guys come in. See, we have a Patreon, patreon.com/TYTNation, set up to help us rely on you guys, the viewers, instead of big corporate ads. Look, you know the show. You know I'm not in favor of big corporations anyway. So help us transition away from relying on the ad model to pay the bills and sign up to be a patron, patreon.com/TYTNation. That goes a long way to help us keep the lights on. And you guys will know that you're supporting independent, progressive media.